Genesis 6, 1 through 4, that act of angels coming down and mating with women. We see that in Genesis 6, 1 and 2, that it was the sons of God that saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took wives of all which they chose. Now, it's important to understand that that phrase, sons of God, represents angels. We see elsewhere that the sons of God, like in the book of Job, is a phrase referring to angels. The extra-biblical texts refer to that as well in books such as the book of 1 Enoch, chapter 6, same verses 1 and 2. I told you last night that they were the synchronized, biblically endorsed extra-biblical text. Well, you see they synchronize even to the chapter and verse right here. We saw Genesis 6, 1 and 2, and this is 1 Enoch 6, 1 and 2. It talks about the angels, the children of the heaven, right there, okay? And in the book of Jubilees, it also comes right out and tells you that it was the angels of God that participated in this activity. Even the well-respected first-century historian Josephus refers to this situation as angels mating with women. Okay, so the ancient record is clear. Where did this activity take place? Well, the Genesis 6 experiment happened right there in the crosshairs. If you look at the crosshairs on that map right there, and an individual by the name of David Flynn discovered, this is Mount Hermon today. This is what it looks like today. This is where Genesis 6:4 took place. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. That's where it happened right there. Now, Nephilim, let's briefly discuss Nephilim. Who or what are Nephilim? Well, it comes, it's Strong's number 5303. It comes from the word Nephal, which most people will say the definition is to fall. And that's true. You can see up there the definition. It's got a whole lot of definitions, though, doesn't it? Not just to fall. That's the one definition most people look at. But as you can see, there are many other definitions up there, including cast down, cease, die, divide by lot, let fail, to fall, inferior, be judged, rot, slay, smite out, throw down. Has a lot of different meanings. In fact, the word is used 435 times in your Bible. Okay, so it's a fairly common word. Derived from the word Nephal, Nephilim are often said to be the fallen ones. Some associate the Nephilim with being the fallen angels themselves. Not so. The text seems to clearly indicate that the fallen angels were watchers and that they gave birth to Nephilim. When it comes to giants, I'm looking for empirical evidence. Liger? Well, this is their website, liger.com. This is the front page. Notice on the bottom there, they named the ligers after the Nephilim.
This big guy is a liger. Yes, a liger. And trainer Doc Antle and his partner Rajani have the biggest one in the world.
This is Hercules, who is our liger boy. 900 pounds and 12 feet tall. He's a gigantic kid because he's a liger. Father lion, mother tiger makes him...
Father is a lion, mother is a tiger.
Makes him the liger. Everything about him seems exaggerated. They seem to live longer. They eat more. We've never seen anything happen in the ligers except bigger, stronger, faster. It's theorized that ligers are this enormous size because the inhibitor growth gene exists in the female lion and in the male tiger. So when you switch around and you get a male lion breeding with a female tiger, creating the liger, you get this gigantic size. Nothing tells it when to stop.
That's solid empirical evidence of gigantism, how it works. Did you catch what they said? The growth inhibitor gene is in the female lion and in the male tiger. So when you mate a male lion with a female tiger, there's no gene to tell them when to stop growing. Some of the giants in the Bible clearly, or all the giants in the Bible clearly didn't have, either didn't have that gene or it was somehow turned off through some sort of hybridization process. See, it's not as mystical as you might think. Now, let's talk about post-flood chimeras, a blending of species and things like that. This image right here, black obelisk of Shalmaneser III, is an individual mentioned in 2 Kings 17:3. On this black obelisk of Shalmaneser III, you see an elephant. It's a full-grown elephant. You can tell by the length and size of its tusk. Okay, and then right behind the elephant, you have a lion man. A man has a lion body with like human hands and a human head. And he's on a leash. And if that's a full-grown elephant, the dude walking as lion man is pretty huge. Because, I don't know if you can see it, but the image cuts off at the guy's shoulders, which is about the same height as the top of the elephant. So there's a giant walking his cute little pet lion man. And we have mention of lion men actually in 2 Samuel 23:20, the lion men of Moab. The Hittites, their name means the terrors, were fond of putting depictions like this in stone. This is another variety of lion man it's a lion with wings, has a lion head and a human head with a snake tail. They have other depictions like this one right here that shows two satyrs, half man, half goat in the middle, with a different variety of lion man, human body with a lion or cat head. Okay, so, but when you're seeing images like this, what's really interesting to me is when you look through the scriptures and you see things like Abraham and his wife, Sarah. When Sarah died, Abraham was negotiating for a burial plot for his wife. And it says in multiple places in Genesis that he negotiated with an individual named Ephron of the Hittites. Well, the Hittites means terrors. They're making depictions like this in stone all over the place, showing chimera, and Ephron's name means fawn-like. So it appears to be saying in the Hebrew that Abraham negotiated with a satyr for a burial plot for his wife. Last days return of the Nephilim. Now, I first need to differentiate between the days of Jared and the days of Noah. What did Jesus say the last days would be like? The days of who? Days of Noah, not Jared. The days of Jared were marked by the mating of angels and humans. That happened in his day. However, it was in the days of Noah that the creation of animal-human hybrids brought about the corrupting of all flesh we read about in Genesis 6:12, which ultimately led to God's judgment with the flood. So if I was to take Jesus' words literally in Matthew 24:37, as it was in the days of Noah, all I have to do is turn on the evening news. There, you're seeing the regular blending of animals and humans. You're not seeing reports of angels mating with humans, as it was in the days of Jared. But you are seeing the creation and the corruption of all flesh, aren't you? On a regular basis. Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us to a discussion of transhumanism, which I believe is a doctrine of devils. We see in Genesis 3:4-5, and the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Immortality, eyes being open, having greater wisdom and understanding, and you shall be as gods. Remember what I said in the previous session? They already had all three. They were already immortal. Death came after they took a bite. The eyes open, they walk with God. They didn't need any greater wisdom and understanding. All they had to do was ask the Creator who hung out with them in the cool of the day. Be like God. They were made in the image and likeness of God already. So the devil tricked them into giving up three things they already had, and man has been trying to get those things back ever since. Three promises: immortality, greater wisdom and understanding, and ye shall be as gods. Out of the mouth of Professor Nick Bostrom.
What I'm really interested in is to try to understand the bigger picture for humanity, our place in the world, and what might lie in store for our species in the future. Particularly the way we might use technologies to enhance ourselves, or to go beyond what we currently think of as our human nature, whether it might be by radically extending the human lifespan through solving the problem of aging, or increasing our intellectual capacities, improving our memory, or taking control of our own emotional states. I think that we are right now in a transitional phase where before the end of this century we will either have gone extinct, or we will have most likely taken the step to become what you might call transhumans or posthumans, or just very enhanced humans that have reached their full potential.
The three promises of Lucifer in the same order. From one of the leading spokespersons of transhumanism. Wow. I mean, what do you do with that? This is a chart I showed you in one of the previous sessions, what their ambition is. The lower right corner there, it shows what senses are available to humans, what we can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Animals have different senses than we do, so that's the longer gray one on the bottom there. And he says, well, if we blend humans together with animals, we may be able to get enhanced abilities and new senses, so we'll have, that larger circle there, what's accessible to transhumans. And if we keep messing with the genome, we're going to get better at it, and then this big circle here, that's what's going to be available to us as post-humans. We will be like the gods. That's what's happening today, right now, in universities around the world.
Plans to allow scientists to create embryos that are part human and part animal are set for approval by the official regulator in Britain. These hybrid embryos are seen by the country's leading scientists as a vital step in the search for cures for diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. It's a highly controversial procedure and is banned in some European countries. Our medical correspondent Fergus Walsh has the story.
This embryo is part mouse, part cow. In a few months, this Newcastle lab is hoping to create a human-cow hybrid. This is highly complex science, the creation of cytoplasmic hybrids, known as cybrid embryos. The starting point is a cow's egg, which is cut open by a laser. The DNA is sucked out. The next step is to take a human cell, perhaps from a patient with Parkinson's disease, and inject it into the egg. Now, this is the crucial point at which an embryo is created, because by using an electric shock, the hybrid embryo starts growing, the cells subdividing. In reality, it's smaller than a pinhead, and when it's just 6 days old, the embryo shell is broken open. Inside are stem cells, the body's master cells. The ultimate aim is to reprogram them into any tissue in the body. For example, nerve cells, heart cells, or brain cells.
Inside this barn is a herd of cows that evolution could never have produced.
What a sight! Every animal here is a clone. They're all genetic copies of just 2 original cows created in the lab. They were created by genetic engineering.
They have human DNA inside them. Their future is to be milked for their blood. This is the world's first antibody extraction parlor. For 2 hours every week or so, these precious cows are connected to pumps that filter their blood and extract human antibodies.
The ultimate goal is to, say, take anthrax, expose the cow to anthrax, inject it with anthrax, at which point it starts making lots of antibodies against anthrax. And then you can collect those antibodies, purify them, and treat people who have been exposed to anthrax.
But it's no easy job to get cows to produce human antibodies. You have to genetically modify the cow's immune system to make it at least partly human. Dr. Roble has had to copy 2 sets of genes out of our DNA, which he then combines into a package called a microchromosome. But to get that microchromosome into the cow, he's had to use one of the most complex cut and paste jobs I've ever heard of.
Take the microchromosome and you transfer it from mouse cells to chicken cells. Okay, and this is a specific chicken cell line that allows you to cut and paste chromosomes. And the best way to carry this chromosome is actually in a hamster cell line. So then it goes to a hamster cell line. We then transfer it to the cow cell line.
So let me just get this straight. To make a human chromosome, you have to go through mice, chickens, hamsters, and then cows.
And then finally cows, yes.
Wow.
Because each cell type has its own peculiar but specific quality that allows us to do a specific kind of manipulation.
That's dangerous. Do you hear what they say? To get a human chromosome, we got to go through mice, hamsters, chickens, and cows. Well, to get a human, we got human chromosomes. What did Genesis 6:12 say, right? All flesh should become corrupted. You want a cow-human hybrid for you? It's called a minotaur. Right? We saw in Joshua 4:18 and Jubilee 7:24 how the corruption of all flesh took place by doing exactly what Dr. Robles and company are doing. Corrupting the human genome and that of all other creations as well. And I'm going to point to this. I believe that corrupting the image leads to opening forbidden gates that may bring about the creation of Nephilim, or in other words, that which has fallen from its original state that God created it to be. Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, 666. Revelation 9:5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days men shall seek death, and death shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Everybody talks about buying and selling. The mark of the beast, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. Well, that's true. But what about this part? Where people are begging for death, but death flees from them. They have essentially purchased a counterfeit immortality apart from Christ. That is why they are cast alive into the lake of fire. They have genetically modified themselves such that they are no longer redeemable after that. Okay, everybody talks about the buying and selling, but they're missing a big part of the component right here. Revelation 19:20, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he had deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. Those both were cast alive into the lake burning with brimstone. Now, back in the 90s, 80s and whatnot, and barcodes, everybody was on the barcode kick. I was too, preaching, that's the mark of the beast, the barcode! Because you got the two long skinny lines, there is the 6 in the barcode. And you notice on the barcode it has 2 long skinny lines on both ends and one set in the middle. So everybody's like, see, 666 with an identifier in the middle, it's the mark of the beast, the barcode! Right? Then later everybody started talking in the more recent times about the microchip. Now everybody thinks it's the microchip. Well, it may be a combination of all of those things, but I really think it's in here. And it's in the syringe. I think we're dealing with something that has to do at the genetic level with DNA. And my personal opinion is, how do we, what purchased our salvation? The blood of Yeshua. Doesn't it make sense that the counterfeit of that would be perhaps the blood of the Antichrist? If we have our salvation through the blood of Jesus Christ, it makes sense that he's going to offer a counterfeit with his blood. How could that happen? Well, Dr. Thomas Horn and others speculate on this, how something like this might happen with regard to a pandemic. Cause a problem which causes a reaction that you just so happen to have the solution for, already ready to go, right? So, okay, just imagine this. They release a really bad flu pandemic of some sort. Well, imagine this. If you don't get the shot that they've got all ready to go for you, no shot or cure means, well, you don't have a job. Somebody mentioned last night their job requires them to take the flu shot. And if they don't get the flu shot, they lose their job. So we're already seeing kind of a microcosm of that happening right now, a test. So they're already making it mandatory for some people. So we've got a little miniature test going on with that. If you don't take it, there's no cure, no job, you end up being quarantined. Oh, you don't want to take the shot? You don't want to take what really I believe is going to be the mark of the beast? Well, fine, you're going to have to be quarantined. Bring you over here. Well, that means you're not going to have any money, which means you won't be able to buy or sell. That seems to be a good explanation to me to explain why they can't buy or sell, but also explain why they beg for death, but death flees from them. Because they can't die, right? But if you do take the shot, well, you have some interesting side effects. It's like those commercials, where you always see the drug that they're offering. Side effects may include drowsiness, blah, blah, blah. Take the shot. Side effects may include counterfeit immortality, not redeemable, and cast alive into the lake of fire. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. All right, I'm joking about it, but it's serious. That's some serious business right there. And there's going to come a time, especially if we're going through this thing, where some tough decisions may have to be made. When you're looking at your kid that's got this pandemic that they released, and they've got this cure over there, but you heard this stuff, and the Holy Spirit's telling you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Don't inject your kid with the mark of the beast. We're going to have to work on that strong faith thing and believing God and trusting in Him. This is, I believe, the formula for avoiding the corruption of our flesh. We see in John 14:12. Those of you who are out there who believe the gifts of the Spirit passed away with the apostles, that's the doctrine called cessation. That's a doctrine that I grew up in. I grew up in a denomination that taught cessation, that the gifts of the Spirit passed away with the apostles. I'm like, well, this is my trump card right here. John 14:12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth in me, not just Peter, James, and John, the works that I do shall he do also. And even greater works, he says, than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Now, we can argue about what the greater works are all day long. I don't know what the greater works are. Let's go back to the previous statement. We'll do the same works I've done. Oh, wait, you mean we're supposed to change water into wine and walk on water? Look, I didn't write it. That's what it says. James 5:14, is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of CVS. Right? No, it says elders of the church. And let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith maybe possibly could heal somebody. Is that what it says? Shall save the sick. And the word there is the Greek word sozo. It's used 118 times in your Bible. It's a word used for forgiveness, healing, deliverance, being set free, being made whole. The prayer of faith will heal the sick, is what that's telling you. Well, I guess we got to have prayers of faith, don't we? And boy, we're going to have to get this. I'll tell you what. There's some more corruption coming our way. We talked a lot about animals and stuff like that, but they're also talking about the cloning and merging with machines. The singularity is at hand. The singularity is the technological creation of smarter than human intelligence. It's the Borg of Star Trek. Let's go ahead and blend humans with machines. And you got Time magazine articles, magazines coming out saying, human cloning, it's closer than you think. And this cover right here, it says, Time magazine, 2045, the year man becomes immortal. I'll just play you a quick clip and let them tell you what they have planned.
2013 to 2014, new centers working on cybernetic technologies for the development of radical life extension rise. The race for immortality starts. 2015 to 2020, the Avatar is created. A robotic human copy controlled by thought via brain-computer interface. It becomes as popular as a car. In Russia and in the world appear, in testing mode, several breakthrough projects. Thought-controlled avatars to provide telepresence in any place of the world and abolish the need for business trips. Flying cars. Thought-driven mobile communications built into the body or sprayed onto the skin. 2020 to 2025, an autonomous system providing life support for the brain and allowing it interaction with the environment is created. The brain is transplanted into an Avatar B. With Avatar B, man receives new, expanded life. 2025. The new generation of avatars provides complete transmission of sensations from all 5 sensory robot organs to the operator. 2030 to 2035, Rebrain. The colossal project of brain reverse engineering is implemented. World science comes very close to understanding the principles of consciousness. 2035, the first successful attempt to transfer one's personality to an alternative carrier. The epoch of cybernetic immortality begins. 2040 to 2050, bodies made of nanorobots that can take any shape arise alongside hologram bodies. 2045 to 2050, drastic changes in social structure and in scientific and technological development. All the prerequisites for space expansion are established. For the man of the future, war and violence are unacceptable. The main priority of his development is spiritual self-improvement. A new era dawns. The era of neo-humanity.
After all that, they decide to get spiritual. Unbelievable, but believe it because it's happening. Does the Bible prophesy about the return of the Nephilim? Yes, I believe it does. Absolutely. We see in Isaiah 13:21, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be, okay, that's prophecy, shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Satyrs, this is in last days Babylon context, okay? Verse 22, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. The Septuagint version of that same verse we just read in King James gets a little bit more in depth for us. It says, but wild beasts shall rest there, and the houses shall be filled with howling, and monsters shall rest there, and devils shall dance there, and satyrs shall dwell there. Compare what Matthew 24:37, where Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah. I just spent this whole presentation telling you what the days of Noah are like. Jesus himself tells you, guess what? Get ready. It's coming back.
And I think there's probably going to be a lot that happens in genetics and in human-machine brain interface, like essentially a cyborg brain interface. It's something I think we should be concerned about, because that may or may not turn out well.
Yeah. You've expressed your reservations about AI and your fears about that.
Yeah, I just think the singularity is probably the right word, because we just don't know what's going to happen once there's intelligence substantially greater than that of a human brain.
Yeah, and do you think, because there's been a lot of sci-fi about AI, series like Humans, you know, etc., it's entering the mainstream, entering the public discourse, that people are understanding the ethical dangers and the, I guess, physical dangers that AI could potentially pose?
I think you just have to consider, like, even in the benign scenario where if AI is much smarter than a person, what do we do?
Believe in a benevolent AI force and cross our fingers?
Humans must merge with machinery in order to stay relevant in a world of increasingly advanced artificial intelligence. Speaking at the World Government Summit in Dubai, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO said humans are limited by the speed at which they transmit data. Musk proposed a high-bandwidth connection to the human brain would allow us to transmit digital info faster than our current fastest method, typing. Musk says an artificial general intelligence has the potential to make humans irrelevant. He sees integration with technology as a necessary step in order to avoid this.
SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk called artificial intelligence potentially, quote, our biggest existential threat.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work out.
The field is progressing very rapidly right now. There are things happening that 10 years ago we would have said, no, there's no way we're going to be that far along in 10 years' time.
But in the near term, what worries Russell and other AI experts are robotic weapons, machines that can function entirely without the guidance of humans, known as fully autonomous weapons.
The next big step for AI is artificial general intelligence, or AGI, with an almost human-like ability to generally figure things out. It's widely expected that once AI passes human level, it will accelerate exponentially. While movies tend to make AI human-like, experts believe it may be more alien, creepy, and calculating. If it could save a few minutes by eradicating humans, our demise would be brutally efficient. Elon Musk is worried that humans might just be the biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. He's donated $10 million to research on how to keep AI positive and founded OpenAI, a project aiming to share AI's advantages so that it can't be controlled by a small group. Musk hopes a neural lace will be developed, connecting our brains to the AI. He notes that we already have two communicating parts of the brain and believes the third layer will be a wonderful upgrade.
Human-like robots like those will walk among us. They will help us. They will play with us. They will teach us. They will help us put the groceries away. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
World leaders need to take the threat of killer robots seriously. That was the warning delivered by a group of experts to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland last week. The military could use killer robots to track down and kill people without being guided by human beings. Some could be human or animal-sized or extremely tiny, the size of an insect capable of moving exceedingly fast. The experts warn they could be as deadly as nuclear weapons and need to be regulated now before an arms race begins, and Gordon, of course, to keep them out of the hands of terrorists.
Is that these machines can't help but share our values because they will be literally extensions of ourselves. They'll be grafted onto our brains and will essentially become their limbic systems. Now take a moment to consider that the safest and only prudent path forward recommended is to implant this technology directly into our brains. Now this may in fact be the safest and only prudent path forward, but usually one's safety concerns about a technology have to be pretty much worked out before you stick it inside your head. And we admit that the horizon of cognition very likely far exceeds what we currently know. Then we have to admit that we're in the process of building some sort of God. Now would be a good time to make sure it's a God we can live with.
Facebook has enacted an emergency shutdown of 2 artificial intelligence programs. The social media giant leapt into action after it discovered the 2 programs were writing their own code. At first they thought it was simply gibberish, but they soon realised the programs had invented their own language and were actually talking to each other.
Stop it.
Stop it. No, Sam, the plug has been pulled on the operation, but the company admits they have no idea what the 2 robots were planning.
Now, robots threatening the human race isn't new. It's a science fiction standard.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me.
Musk is afraid of the day AI gets smarter than us and we can't turn it off.
That's actually the nightmare scenario that a lot of people, not just Musk, are warning about. And
its name is AlphaGo, and it was made by Google's DeepMind division. The AlphaGo AI algorithm beat a human at the world's hardest game. This is a historic moment in computer science and artificial intelligence.
The victory of a program over a human in the ancient board game Go has sparked intrigue and, in some cases, concern. It shows that a machine has approximated human intuition and outsmarted the best human brain in the game. It's something that scientists hadn't expected to happen for at least another decade, and it's a giant leap for artificial intelligence, showing that machines can learn on their own.
Let the record show that the trial of James Gordon has begun. Nathaniel Barnes presiding as judge, jury, and executioner.
Things could have gone so differently, James. We could have cleaned this town up together. But when the moment came, you stood against me. You stood against Gotham, against justice. The sentence is death by beheading, to be carried out immediately.
You do know your new masters are nothing but a pack of murderers, don't you? They're gonna unleash the virus in a mass attack, infecting both the innocent and the guilty.
You still think this virus is a curse? Tell me, what about strength is a curse? What about clarity is a curse?